Oh boy, what's that tape machine doing in my booth? Oh, dang it, that's why. Well, I guess you figured it out by now, everybody. If you haven't, we're doing a two-tone today. Today, we're gonna learn 5 tricks that will help you achieve a flawless two-tone paint job. Today, we're working on this, guys. It's a 2020 Ford F-150, and it's got PQ on top, which is red, and then magnetic, which is J7 on the bottom. And today, I'm gonna teach you the 5 best tips and tricks that I know to achieve a flawless two-tone paint job. It's really important, so stick around. Okay, so first things first, everybody, I want to talk about cleanliness. This is tip number 1. So tip number 1 is going to be cleanliness. It's not all about just getting your panel clean. Can everybody spot all the different things that I'm doing to make sure it's nice and clean in here? Well, obviously, number 1, I wet the floor down. I know everybody can't do that. Every booth is different, but if you can, it's going to make a huge difference. There's a lot of paint going on to the panel, everybody, and I just want to make sure everybody can get a nice smooth paint job and they're not getting a bunch of dust or any issues. I know somebody say, oh, the water can get up into your paint. Well, as long as you're careful, you don't have that issue. I'm not saying I've never had it happen. First things first, what I did outside of my booth, I blew that tape machine off. I never have my tape machine in here for any freaking reason ever. And that's because it's dusty and honestly never needed in here. If I need a roll of tape, I just throw it in my booth box. So make sure anything that you're bringing in your booth, including your hose, including yourself, it's all nice and clean. And then once you do all that, then you can break out your gloves. These are brand new gloves. Don't be cheaping out with this, everybody. You don't want to get this two-tone paint job done that takes half a day to paint and have to redo it because you did something dumb. So make sure you're getting nice new gloves on, okay? Everything's all blown off, I'm blown off, the truck's blown off. I already wiped the truck down once before I even brought it in here. And I brought it in with my chip guard. So basically, once you've followed all those steps, then you can start wiping your truck down. So once you're all good, then you can start getting your wax and grease remover on. Okay, and I'm not gonna record the whole thing. But basically, you're gonna get your wax and grease remover done, and then you're also gonna hit it with your alcohol-based cleaner, which is my H2O clean. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, so you got the truck all wiped down. Now here's gonna be the tricky part. It's humid out, and you wanna make sure that you're really clean right where you wanna put your two-tone mark, because I'm gonna tell you what, the last thing you want you to do, get that tape all on when it starts coming loose. We're gonna go over some other tips about that here soon. And another thing, be super organized, everybody. You don't want to be running and opening the booth 1,500 times because you forgot something to this thing. Plan your attack out. So when you know you have to bring your tape machine in, make sure it's all cleaned up. Make sure it's not cluttered with a bunch of junk, because usually mine is. So just make sure you're all organized. I brought my air hose over here on the other one. So I got everything I need. I have my blowgun in my pocket, my tack rag in my other pocket. Okay. Another thing is, open up a brand new tack rag for this. You don't want to use an old tack rag for this. I'm telling you, this is a lot of painting and taping and messes that can go on if you just don't try to get it right the first time. All right, everybody. So before we get this thing all ready to rock, we're gonna let this flash off. We're gonna go fire up the booth so it starts getting some airflow through here. And then we'll come in and start tacking the skirting. Okay, tip number 2 is gonna be about color match. So what we're gonna do here, you gotta make sure that this red and this gray are really nice, because you don't wanna start blending and run into an issue with this two-tone. So this PQ is mixed by Paint Store. I trust them pretty good. I already jammed some fenders with it and before. This shouldn't be a huge deal. Usually magnetic's a pretty good matching color. But it's just really important. If you gotta do spray out cards, do what you gotta do. But just make sure that your paint is gonna match. And the reason why you want your color match so good, everybody, is because with these two-tones, you want to keep your blend to a minimum. I know it sounds funny, but you don't want to be halfway into your panel either way on your blends, because it's really easy to get a hard line on your edge that you're taking off, and you don't want to do that because you'll get in trouble. It's about keeping the paint away from your hard lines best you can. Obviously you can't on the bottom, but you don't want too hard lines. Okay, so I know it's going to be a little bit louder in the booth, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me fine. If I have to, I'll just overdub it later. So basically, right now, we got everything all clean, and before we go tacking it off, we need to mask this gray up, because I don't want any sealer and I don't want any red anywhere on this at all right now. So you need to make sure this is masked off. So we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. Okay, one big thing here. Just got to make sure that we run a piece of fine line. It's not going to matter a lot for what we're doing first here, but you don't want to try to get a jagged edge. You don't want a jagged edge at all. So just try to run a little fine line on the existing, and you want to do it across the whole thing. I know it seems like a waste because we wanted to keep that small, but I don't want it at any chance of that crap getting onto my gray. I mean, it's going to be inevitable a little bit, but you want to do the best you can. Just trying to get this gray masked off. Okay. This is going to be taping it a little different than how we're going to do it later. This is just to get our red blended out. Our red all down. And then we're gonna back up and we're gonna do the rest. Okay, I'm not gonna bore everybody. We'll just jump right to it all taped up. All right, now that we got it all masked off down there, got everything wiped down super good, we're gonna come back, make sure everything's stuck down. It is humid. We're gonna give it a quick blow, give ourselves another quick blow. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start tacking this thing off. One important thing is, when you're tacking off a car, you kind of want to tack in one direction and blow in one direction. That's gonna give you the best results. But again, I'm not gonna bore you with the whole tacking this thing off. Okie dokie. So now, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a little spot sealer on a couple spots that I wasn't happy with. Just had some bare metal showing everybody. All right, let's go get some base mixed up. Okay, we're gonna get a little color blender down, everybody. And we're just gonna put it on our blend panel. All right, we're getting our PQ mixed up here, everybody. And then, of course, our base coat, Beltron. We mix it up 1-to-1. Get enough for 3 coats. Maybe a little overkill. And we're gonna use a 95 reducer because it's hot. Okay. So, got our red mixed up with PQ, and first thing we're going to do is just get our panels with 1 coat and maybe bring our blend out once. Your biggest thing here is going to be making sure that you keep your blend kind of tight, and you kind of want to keep it away from here as best you can. I know it's going to be impossible to completely do, but you don't want to start building up a hard edge on this, especially in the beginning. All right, let's get a coat on here. Okay, first coat's dried down. We're using our Sada 5500 today for our color. We have been for a while now. And it seems like it's blending perfect. This color match, I almost could have panel painted it. But we're gonna try to do a nice job. So we're gonna bring our blend out just a little bit further. We're gonna keep our paint away from here still. And obviously there's no need to bring our paint down all the way because we're gonna be putting another color on it. So here we go. Alright, we got like 3.5 coats on this, everybody. We're gonna let this dry for about a good 20-30 minutes before we even come in and pull our tape off the bottom. And then we're gonna start taping up our other color. Alright, so we gave her a good, I don't know, probably a half an hour. I took my suit off because it's hotter than heck in here. We're gonna get this untaped so we can start the next process here. Alright, so this comes to our next tip. This is tip number 4. And this is precision. It's very important that you're gonna get your line really nice on everything, everybody. Okay, so I didn't do it for the back because I was kind of getting lazy, but first thing we're gonna do here, we're gonna run regular 3/4 inch tape just above it. What this is gonna do is make it so when we pull our fine line off, it's gonna give it a nice edge. And again, you wanna give it about, make it so your fine line laps over about half. Make sure it's straight. Okay, so here's the important part. So, you want to get to the end of your deal. We're going to do this with our fine line too. Basically, you're just going to kind of get a nice straight edge to your lowest point. And again, giving your just enough room for your fine line to get where you want it. That's what we'll do. So we'll put our fine line right on top of it. So when it comes to precision, it's all in how you're gonna do it. I see a lot of guys, they'll try to make it, they'll try to pull the tape and set it down all all that's gonna do is make a big wave, everybody. So you wanna get your nicest roll of tape. I think this is probably my nicest tape. I'm gonna burn the first couple feet of it, just so I don't run into any issues or any dust or any moisture that's built up on the top. Okay. Now, basically, you're gonna wanna run your fine line from the point that's already started, the point that's already got the gray on it. You wanna start there always. And sometimes it's not in your favor, like this time. It's backwards from what I like to tape. If it was the other way, I'd be a lot happier. See, and that crap happens, don't take chances. I know the tape's expensive, don't take chances in trying to unravel the crap. That's why I don't like wearing gloves when I tape, it drives me nuts. But anyway, you wanna go beyond it, and you're gonna run that right on your thing. And the key here is to make sure that you're on that line completely. Sometimes it's hard to see, and I only do this when I only go a couple inches at a time if I'm trying to get it onto an existing line. And I don't really want to get wet, but I'm gonna sit right down on my butt so I can see it good. You'll want to get done with this and your line be off. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. You're gonna kind of run it best you can on your existing line. You don't want to pull it off and your line be messed up. So, oh my goodness, this one's pretty difficult because it's right in that crease. And basically, we're just going to kind of turn the tape and we're just going to start laying it. And this is our blend, so it's not a huge deal. It's a little screwy towards the back because we're not even going to get paint back there. We want to just start back there. Once we get it kind of where we want it, and it's so difficult to get it exactly on that line. And here's one big tip. Okay, and when I mean precision, this is the hard part. You always want to kind of get your, just the first like inch almost stuck down in the front. And this is going to be the tricky part, everybody. You're going to get your fine line out. Don't rely on trying to follow that body line. Make a straight line. Make a straight line. Go up to your lowest point here, push down here, get your straight line, and then get your end pushed down. Okay? Now the key here is not to stretch the tape. Don't pull on the tape. If you pull on the tape, it's gonna come loose. And basically, you're just gonna let her fall into place. That's why it's important to have gloves on while you're doing this, because you're touching paint that's already been painted and you don't want oil and grease and stuff like that. But here's the big thing. You have to make sure this thing's stuck down. I don't care if you go over it 10 times before you put your other color down. If that stuff isn't stuck down, you're gonna run into a huge problem of it lifting up. Okay? All right, so I'm not gonna film all of it. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna run from paper from here up. So I'm gonna run paper from here up to make sure that no overspray from the gray, that magnetic gray, gets onto anything. Just like this. Okay, and then we'll continue up. Okay, upon inspection here, looks like everything's stuck down really well. And we'll come and check, make sure everything's stuck down good before we start spraying another color. We're gonna go mix that up. All right, so we got some J7 magnetic. Sweet stuff. Pretty nice stuff. All right, we're gonna get this mixed up and then go back. Okay, we got our color mixed up. Now, before we go any further, especially here, I'm gonna make sure all our tape's stuck down nice and good. All right. Then we'll give her a quick tack. All this other stuff looks pretty good. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna bring our blend in a little bit. I'm gonna go a little further down to the bottom because I got chip guard down there that I blended in. Give her a quick tack rag. See we didn't get any dust flying up from anywhere. Okay. Sweet, sweet. About keeping everything nice and precise, everybody. You only get one chance with your blend. You don't want to have to start over. That was kind of 2 coats just to keep my metallic sweat. It is very hot today. So we're gonna give that a few minutes to flash off. I think I'm gonna grab a little color blender, throw it on the edge of my blend. Just a little blender on everything. Just on our blend area so we can come through and be all good. Make sure our red Scotch-Brite scratches aren't showing. Okay, while our blender's still wet, we're gonna get one last coat on it, guys. Make sure our paint's all shook up good. I don't like those metallics laying down on the end. All right, so it seems like it's blending out fine. And we're just gonna get one more dust control coat on this, and we're gonna call it good. It's all about letting the gun do the work when you blend, everybody. And I tell you what, this Sada does a great job. So we got our last coat on. Now, we're gonna let those metallics settle down. We'll come in and take a little inspection. We'll get everything pulled off, and then we got tip number 5 coming up. The last and final. The one you guys have all been waiting for. Stick around. Okay, looks like we're good and dry. We're gonna get our main part pulled off, and then we'll pull our fine line. Just another tip in precision, everybody. Make sure you're paying attention, not ripping holes in your plastic. You don't want a bunch of overspray everywhere. So if you do, make sure you get them taped back up. I think that was the only one I had that was pretty careful. So let's get this fine line pulled. All right, so we're gonna find our fine line here. And what we're gonna do, this is part of tip number 4 still. Tip number 5's coming, guys, hang in there. You're gonna pull that tape right back towards itself, okay? Pull that tape right back towards itself. It's gonna give it a nice crisp edge. Not gonna have any tearing. Wanna make sure that paint is pretty decently dry. Don't wanna come back and do it wet and make a mess. You wanna pull that paint, or that tape, right back towards itself. That's it for the last one. The rest of this tape off here, we're gonna get everything myself blown off. We're gonna get the truck blown off again. We're gonna re-tack everything. And then we'll be on to tip number 5. All right, big thing. We'll call this part of tip number 5, but it's not the main part. You're gonna make sure everything's all tacked off again. Do not push hard with your tack rag. You're just lightly touching it. Make sure you're always balling your tack rag up before you use it. So just go on and tack that stuff off, okay? any stuff that was left over, any dust that came off your tapes and stuff. You just want to make sure it's off there. You don't want that in your new paint. All right. Once you do that, then you can go to clearing. Okay, we got our clear mixed up. So the last part of tip 5. So we went over, let's pull our tape, make sure that is pulled towards itself. That's super important, I know, right? You think that would be the most important thing, but it's not. The most important thing you do here is to make sure you're not putting your first coat of clear on too wet. If you put it on too wet, you see that line right there? It's gonna run right on that line. It can't hang on to that very well. So when you're down below, when you get next to that line, I want you to kind of back up and almost do a little tack coat on it. I mean, it's not gonna look the prettiest, right? But when you go in for your second coat, then you can smash your second coat on as long as you let it dry good enough. But let's get a little bit of clear on this thing. See how we backed off? We backed off a little bit. All right, looking crispy, looking clean for our first coat. Looks great. All right, so now we can start hammering in a little bit heavier. Again, you still want to kind of be careful around your line, but it shouldn't matter as much now. Let's get the last coat of clear on camera. Don't get discouraged. Don't get scared of these two-tone paint jobs. Don't get scared of any paint job. And remember everybody, it's all just paint. It doesn't matter if you're using waterborne or solvent, you just need to learn how to spray it. It isn't a big deal. And the more you do, the better you get at it. So, and if you find yourself getting scared or nervous about your next paint job, come watch this video. And remember, what are the 5 things we learned in this video? Precision, color match, cleanliness is a huge thing. Make sure you clean your guns in between coats. I mean, it all comes back down to the basics, everybody. So hey, if you like what you see in this video, I want everybody to go watch this one. And if you enjoyed this video, I want everybody to go hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and this has been Where to the Finish.